And welcome back to another episode of the Drunkencryptids. I'm your host, Matthew Orton, and I want to give a quick shout to everybody out there who's been liking, supporting, and sharing the show. You guys, it's showing out there in the algorithms. I appreciate it. If this is your first time listening, do me a favor, listen to the episode. If you like it, then go ahead, leave a positive review. But I do want to give a special shout out also again to the team. I appreciate all the hard work they put into everything behind in the background. Y'all are amazing. I'm not where I'm at by myself. It's because of you guys. And of course, blademedia.com. That's right. Dylan over there at Blade Media. Great job with the website. Great job with the logo. I love it. Everybody catches it. They see it. So the logo, that's all on Blade Media. Thanks, Dylan. That's BLAYED media.com. Real quick, let's get some of the front of the house stuff out of the way. We do have a Patreon. Check out the tiers. Anything works for you at all, let me know. I appreciate all the help and support. Plus, I keep saying to you guys, we're going to get a Buy Me a Coffee. I haven't done it yet. But we've been busy because we've been doing investigations as well, been going crazy. We had a great time. Chumming the Spirits came down, and pay attention to that, you guys. That episode will be coming soon. And, of course, I will be traveling up to Kansas City in September, and then I'll be a speaker at the Ohio Bigfoot Jamboree 2 in October, on October 5th. And then at the end of October, we're going to be at the Arkansas Paranormal Expo here in Little Rock. I'll have a table set up. Come out, come meet me, come meet some of the team. I'll have the kiddos, so come goof off. I'll have t-shirts, merchandise, all that fun stuff. Come hang out, kind of pop in and say hi. And old Bart's going to do something special for us for an after party afterward. So, but let's get into tonight's episode. So I found Shane somehow. Shane ended up either I sent him a friend request or he sent me a friend request. You know how that stuff works on Facebook. And I was really fascinated with some of the videos and the pictures that he was posting of, finding some really interesting pictures and breaking some things down. I was really fascinated. So I reached out to him and I wanted to talk to him about his discoveries, what he's been discovering, what's been happening. And he was gracious enough to come onto the show. And it was a good time, had a great time. And we talked forever. And I think we probably could have talked for another 2 hours, to be honest with you. It was a lot of fun. So you guys sit back, relax. It's showtime.
Rustling trees in the backwoods night, red lights cutting through the pine in flight. Bigfoot stomping with his youngling beard, whispers of tales that ain't too clear. UFOs buzzing solo through the haze, howling banshees set the forest ablaze. Jersey devil howls drink rays to the sky. Drunken cryptids party until the morning's night. It's showtime, running wild in the moonlight. Stars burn down, watch the freaks all take flight.
To good times.
Raise your glasses to the mysteries divine. It's showtime, let the cryptids realign.
Hey, Shane, welcome to the show, man. I know you're a busy guy and you're in high demand. I'm watching you all over social media. You're going everywhere. So thank you so very much for taking the time tonight to come on the show.
Well, you're welcome. I've been planning on coming on your show for a while now, and let's talk cryptids, let's talk aliens, let's dive deep in the rabbit hole for these people.
That I like that. I'm all about going down the rabbit hole. It's I tell everybody once you start, and you'll back me on this one. Once you start going down a rabbit hole, and I tell people all the time, with Bigfoot especially, be careful because you will end up down a hole to where he is riding around in a UFO with Elvis and Tupac, and they're still helping, and Biggie and the whole show. You know what I mean? So to where it's absolutely crazy of what happens with it. Same thing with the aliens. I mean, there's been a few times I've had to pull back on the alien one, and because I was like, whoa, this is just getting too nuts.
Yeah, there's some things that are really interesting when it comes to aliens. Things I've discovered that I wish I had never discovered. But sometimes I feel like sharing it because I know no one knows about it because of the discoveries that I actually made. I've never heard of before.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Because that's what I was watching. I mean, some of the stuff you've discovered, and I definitely want to get into there, go there. Some, it's, it's for some reason it's like shocking, but in another side is I'm not surprised. I'm not even remotely surprised. New evidence comes out. People make discoveries all the time, and I'm going, I'm not surprised at all. The government came out a couple years ago. Was like, yeah, UAPs. They're piloted by interdimensional beings. I was like, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised.
Not surprised at all. Yeah, I just bought myself a new Nikon P1000 camera. Have you heard of them before?
I have not, but I'm willing to bet that Chris and probably the guys over at Chumming the Spirits are going, yep,
Yeah, it's it's no longer on the market. Something like NASA bought Nikon out or something and took it off the market because it's so powerful that you can zoom into a crater on the moon, and it's something you can hold in your hand.
Really?
My neighbor's got dirt bike.
I about to say, okay, okay. I was going to ask you about that because I have caught at least one EVP so far, recording an episode, and we think we caught another one, and so that's why I was like going, okay, did we catch that? Or was it?
Yeah. So the Nikon P1000, I'll be able to get really, really clear, definitive photographs of my discoveries. Some of my photographs people say they're a little blurry because I only have my cell phone when I'm out hiking around or flying, or sometimes when I'm flying, I have GoPros, but I'm in motion, so sometimes they don't pick up really clear images or video.
So let's go to the beginning. What put you on this, as you call it, a discovery of truth? And I love that terminology, and I may steal that from you. But so what happened to put you on the discovery of truth?
We can go way back. What happened? I don't think there's any really distinctive thing that really happened in my life. The most distinctive thing that happened in my life was when I was 16 years old. My mother passed away, and the same week, my dad put me on a ferry boat to Alaska. And he said he got me a job in a cannery, and the ferry was in Bellingham, Washington. He threw me on the ferry, gave me a brown paper bag, and it had a case of beer in it, a foot-long sub sandwich, and a roll of quarters. And there was a paper in there that said, "Call this guy when you get to Ketchikan, Alaska, and he'll take you by skiff to the island, Metlakatla Island, where the cannery is, and they're waiting for you." And so I was in shock from losing my mother, and everything was kind of a blur when I was 16. So I got on the boat and I met some people on the boat. I cracked open a beer, and I'm drinking the beer because I was thirsty and hungry, and I didn't want to waste the sub sandwich. And a guy walks over to me. He goes, "I'll take that," and he grabs my beer. And I said, "Hey, that was my food." And he threw it in the trash can, and I was like, "What an asshole!" I reached in the bag. I grabbed another one. I looked over at him and his family eating sandwiches and drinking soda, and I cracked another one open really quietly in the bag. And I started drinking it. He walks up behind me and grabs my second can of beer, and he said, "I'll tell you what, if you give me that whole case of beer, I'll feed you all the way to Ketchikan and give you something to drink." And so I handed the whole bag and gave him a case of beer. And when I got to Ketchikan, I called the guy. He took me by skiff to the island, dropped me off, and he buzzed away on the skiff, and I climbed to the top of the hill of Metlakatla Island, and I saw the cannery. and the cannery was closed. It was boarded up, and there was no cars. There was no streets even. No other buildings except for the cannery. And I turned back around. I looked at the guy on the skiff, and he was like already like a mile away. And so I was left for dead on this island, and I had to break into the cannery and try to find food. I found like a quarter of a pallet of peaches, and then I found the kitchen. There was some other food in the kitchen, rice and things. And at the time, I was 16. I hardly knew how to cook anything, besides like oatmeal, But there was oatmeal in there, so I made some oatmeal for dinner, and I barricaded myself into the kitchen, in the galley, and I slept in there, and then I just really just had to take care of myself. I had to find clams and oysters and things that I could find on the beach. About 3 months later, a boat pulled up, and I found spring water, and I drank water. A boat pulled up. It was called the Tanya Rose. And I remember this because it was a huge, scary moment in my life, and I had time to think about how I wanted to live. I wanted to make money, and I didn't want to go back and see my dad if he just left me for dead. And so I went down to the boat. 2 ladies hired me to work on the boat as a deckhand, and they taught me everything I needed to know about fishing. And then they introduced me to the owner of Trident Seafoods, where I stayed for 17 years and fished. I don't know why that guy is riding by back and forth. Sorry about that.
No. So it's funny you mentioned with the motorcycle. So I had before I moved, I had an outdoor tavern, and that's where I do all my recording and everything at. And for some reason, I get ready to start recording. Like, okay, it'd be like 7:30. All right, nobody should be doing anything. Should be good to go. My neighbor would always want to come out, and if they're listening, y'all know what I'm talking about. They would always want to come out and either start weed eating or doing the leaf blower. And I was, I was like, you gotta be kidding me. And
yeah, so, that's the devil slowing you down.
Yep. And so, and I was like, all right. And then, we move over here, and great neighbors around us, and the young couple beside us, they ended up. They had a turn mower, and I was recording Ray and Lisa, the area that I've been investigating lately. And they got this turn mower just going. And I had Chris, he was sitting here, he was co-hosting with me that night. And we just kept looking at each other, and I was like, okay. So we actually had to mute and pause everything for them to finish up with the mower. So no apologies on that at all. I mean, my show is, you've listened to the show, so it's raw and unfiltered, it's uncut, it's I will say, okay, we're pause. Someone say I go to the bathroom. Well, I edit those parts out, but other than that, it's I don't do any of the editing.
Like reality TV or reality.
Reality podcasting. Yep, and I record outside because I like to have the nature around me. I like to be outside, and so you'll hear the birds chirp and everything. You've had a rough childhood, though.
Man, I had a really rough childhood. That's not even after that, it got pretty smooth. I stayed fishing for 17 years. I was a commercial crab fisherman. I was on Deadliest Catch. Trident Seafoods paid for my college, so I have a double master's in business and finance. And after that, I was headhunted. I got a job with Charlie's Produce, the largest produce company in North America, as their operations manager. And so I ran that company for a while, about 9 years. And then I took a job with Samson Tug and Barge. And, Charlie's Produce, I'll go back to Charlie's. They hired me mainly because I was a fisherman. And in the wintertime, they would open up a cross dock. And then I would have to facilitate freight produce to all the fishing boats that came in, in Dutch Harbor. And I had a crane operating license, heavy equipment license, a CDL, so I was training guys how to drive truck, and it was a busy job, 17-hour. I worked 17-hour days every day, and I had a sat phone, so I was talking to the captains and figuring out what docks they're pulling into, and I'd have the produce sitting there waiting for them when they showed up. And then I took a job with Samson Tug and Barge. They're out of Sitka, Alaska, and I was loading nuclear subs and talking to the Navy quite a bit. They'd come in and get produce. They'd come in and get ammunition, things like that, and I'd have to load them out. But then we had big barges come in, and I'd load and unload barges, and I ran the company, basically. And when I wasn't working, though, because there'd be big chunks where there was no barge, no people coming in, I was reading books about treasure hunting. I wanted to be a treasure hunter. Just dreaming, really. But I thought I had an idea. So I started reading about the Peralta Stone's treasure map. And I thought, And, I'm watching all these YouTube videos with like Wayne Tuttle and Ron Feldman, Jesse Feldman. Jesse Feldman's on the Blind Frog Ranch show right now. Dwayne Ollinger. I started talking to Dwayne Ollinger. Dwayne Ollinger actually bought me a paramotor. He gave it to me as a gift.
Oh, nice.
It's the one I crashed.
That's a story.
And I crashed the paramotor. It's a whole other story. But and this is the one that I flew through the Grand Canyon in. And it was a Monster 185, and I flew with a 40-meter wing. And I had a 20-meter wing and a 40-meter wing. But I dove really deep into treasure hunting. And when you're treasure hunting, I was researching water levels, and 2,000 years ago, and 3,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago, how high the water was back then. And having that paramotor, being able to get around to look at the mountains, on top of the mountains, and down the sides of the mountains, looking for temples. I thought, there's got to be temples in Arizona, because Arizona, Mexico. And so I was like, okay, I bet there's temples in Arizona. I bet there's temples in Utah. And I knew that the Great Flood was probably real. And so if there was a Great Flood, it would have covered everything with mud. And so it was really difficult to discover things. But once I started seeing which way the water came in from, which direction, did it come in from the west or did it come in from the south? When I first started seeing where the big flood came in, that's when I started noticing things.
Well, I am a firm believer in the flood. Biblical history is a side passion of mine. If anybody is listening to the Gary Wayne episode, can tell. Mm-hmm. But with the flood covering up, and everything is going to be covered in mud, which is pretty funny. If you do look at some of the the pyramids over there in Egypt, as a matter of fact, you look at the Sphinx, you look at the pyramids, they do show evidence of water erosion.
They do, yeah. And the Great Sphinx, they just discovered evidence that water was rushing next to the Great Sphinx.
Yeah, and so I think that a lot of these artifacts are older than what we've been taught.
Yeah, they could be older. If they're basing it on when the water was eroding while it was running by the Great Sphinx, and they're chipping off right where the water was, and dating it based on shellfish or algae that was in the water, well, they're going to get a wrong reading.
Oh, definitely. But because we were all led to believe, growing up in the I was, The Egyptians built them, and there's no way to duplicate what the Egyptians done. There's no way to duplicate a lot of these pyramids that are spread out around the world. Egypt gets the token for the pyramids, the fame, but they're everywhere. They're present in Asia. They're present in Russia. They're present over in South America, Central America, and even North America. And I think it gets overshadowed a lot.
I think that before the continental shift, I think maybe it's possible when the Great Flood happened is when the continental shift happened.
That would explain a lot as well.
Yeah, so maybe everything was connected. That's what they think. Like Randall Carlson believes that it was all connected, and then when it split apart and became different nations and different countries, it was probably the same people.
I mean, we could tie that in with the Tower of Babel as well.
Right. Yeah.
So how he guys tore down the tower and separated the nations and made everybody speak a different language.
Yeah, but then there's some areas I discovered. So tomorrow, what I haven't told you yet. Tomorrow, I'm doing a press release.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, it's not too sweet. I hesitate on doing it.
Well, I will tell you, this episode airs. This is going to air a week from today.
Okay.
So your press release will already be out there.
Podcast. It's probably the last podcast I'm able to do, most likely.
Oh, wow. Well, I'm truly honored.
Yeah, I discovered some things. I started making a discovery 7 years ago. And when I was discovering temples in North America, some of the temples had a giant S on top, and it was engraved out of the stone, and then gold was poured over the top, and then the gold was scratched, and just a giant S shape. And you can find the S on my YouTube channel. I have a couple videos of the temple with the S on top, and I think, okay, what was it? Was it Solomon? Did it stand for King Solomon? For King Solomon's lost temple, or could it be Sinai or Shiloh? I'm like, what could that S stand for? And was it Cibola? Because some scholars believe that Cibola started with an S and not a C, because there's a lot of gold there. And so, I had to rack my brain for 7 years, and then I made other discoveries on top of that. And I found more temples. I found helmets, Knights Templar helmets with a Kushka on top, the brush thing on top. I found Spanish Conquistador helmets, breastplates, and swords. And I donated one to a museum already, a Spanish Conquistador helmet, breastplate, and a sword.
Well, let's talk about where you're finding these artifacts at.
Where at?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't share where.
Oh, okay. But here in the United States.
Yeah, in the United States.
Okay.
In Arizona.
Arizona? All right.
Yeah.
And that's understandable not wanting to share the exact location, and I get that.
Yeah, I just can't because, I also landed a reality show.
Oh, so we're under disclosure right now.
Yeah. So
we're on NDA. I got it. Well, what show can you tell us what show you're on so everybody can watch it?
They're creating the show. So the executive producer, I drove down to Arizona. I drove my Jeep Rubicon to Arizona, and I left it down there.
Hey, I got a Wrangler.
Oh yeah, I saw your Wrangler. Yeah, Black Pearl.
The Black Pearl, yeah, that's it.
yeah, and I have a 2010 Rubicon. And,
I have a 2010 Wrangler, 4-door. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah.
Look at that, more in common than we knew.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, I love that Rubicon. And so I took it down there, dropped it off, and then I rented a car and I drove over to LA, and I met with a producer that I'd been talking to already, and he wanted to meet with him and another producer. So he's the executive producer of the entertainment company, and he hired a producer to be my producer, but she wasn't there. She actually took on a different reality show, and but I met with the executive producer. We talked for a couple hours, I showed him some photos that were real photographs, and you can tell if they're real or not. You can kind of just pull up the photo, and it'll say screenshot, or it'll have a bunch of numbers. If that has a bunch of numbers, it means it's a real photo. So I showed him a bunch of real photos of the temples and some gold and things I discovered, and the artifacts I discovered. And he said, "Well, I'd really like to offer you a show." He said, "Give me a few months, and I'm going to build the Treasure Channel, and your show will be part of that channel."
How cool is that?
Yeah. So we don't have a name for it. And I talked to him yesterday. Yeah, yesterday? No, a couple days ago I talked to him, and he said he needs about 3 months. He'll be ready.
Have you started filming for it yet, or no?
No, haven't started filming. But I met with one of his field producers. I drove from LA to Santa Barbara and met with one of his field producers, and we hung out all day long. And he's the one that told me about the Nikon P1000 camera. And
if you need a guest one time, I'm just throwing that out there. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I am supposed to find a team. So I need like 2 or 3 people to be a part of a team, because I've been doing all this research myself. I don't have a team, and
we can talk off air if you want.
we'll definitely talk off air about that.
Because I've got a great researcher.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie, he is a great researcher. Chris is really good.
Is he sitting right there?
No, he's not. I wish he was. But he's not sitting here. But Chris, so a little history about Chris was, Chris has been fascinated with the Land Between the Lakes, the LBL. And the incident took place in the early 80s with the family allegedly being killed by dog things.
Mm-hmm.
And every show out there's done an episode on it. Everybody's done one. And so I didn't want to do what everybody's done. I want my show to be my own. And he'd been pushing for months and months and months. And I said, "Okay, Chris, if you want to do one really bad, go ahead, do some research, get everything laid out, and we'll do an episode on it." And he goes, "Okay." 4 days later, he gets a hold of me and says, "Hey, I found a survivor." And I went, "No, you didn't. No. And that's how we met Roger. And so Chris is, yes, very good at digging and going down rabbit holes and everything. So Chris, there's your shout out, buddy. So I mean, with Roger, we're actually working with Roger behind the scenes right now to go out to the Land Between the Lakes next year in 2026, and he's going to take us to the actual location of where everything took place, where the incident happened, and all that. I mean, yeah. So we're pretty excited about that. But yeah. We'll talk.
So my show is it'll be about like the temples I discovered. It'll be about the Knights Templar coming to North America, and I believe the Knights Templar were teaching Christianity to the Aztecs in the 12th century, and I can prove it. I found carvings on rocks, and I found artifacts that back what I'm saying.
Well,
and
there has been carvings, discovered in the West, out in the West, and going down through, Mexico into Central America, showing some strange,
Yeah, the monoliths they found in New Mexico. There's several monoliths that some people found.
Well, don't you think it's funny too, though, when the Spaniards came over, they destroyed their language, all their written stuff, they destroyed it. Isn't that kind of? I just find that ironic.
Yeah, if you go to the Grand Canyon, the Native Americans that live around the Grand Canyon, their language actually is very similar to Egyptian.
Huh.
I don't know if you knew that, but
I did not.
Yeah, and I think this is it's a idea, but I think so. I asked my wife. I asked her and her aunt. They're both. My wife grew up religious, and her aunt is really religious. So I said to them, I said, in the Bible it says that it talks about New Israel a lot, New Jerusalem. I said, well, I looked at her and I said, where's the old one at? And she goes, I've flown over there a few times, and I can't tell you that I know where. I don't know where it's at. She said, I don't think anyone knows. Well, I think the original Egypt was in the Grand Canyon, and the original Jerusalem wasn't that far away, and in Arizona, and I'm not trying to change history at all. I'm just trying to decipher what I'm discovering, what I'm finding, what I'm physically and visually seeing in front of my face. And the interview that I'm having tomorrow, I'm having, tell you here in a second. I'm doing a news release, and tomorrow with a man. He's a producer. He used to work for CNN as a producer.
Okay.
And I'm coming out with. I believe I may have discovered the real Ark of the Covenant.
Really?
The real one, the resting place of it.
So it's not in Ethiopia.
I actually found it 7 years ago. I don't know if it is or not. I'm not an archaeologist. I'm not a geologist, and I do not claim to be one. All I know is I found a wooden box with gold poured over the top, and it's mineralized. It has a lot of quartz in it. There is a line. It's a chest. It has feet. It has brackets to the feet, and the feet are hooves, horse hooves. And there's brackets on the sides of it to carry it. And there's giant wings on top. It looks like what people are looking for. But I'm not saying that's what it is. I really don't know what it is. But that's what the press release is about. I discovered a wooden box that's ancient, mineralized gold. There's gold dripping down from the ceiling, like you could cut it off with a pocket knife. And, we'll see what it is, really.
So you haven't had a chance to, excavate it or anything yet?
No. I told a lot of people, but, everyone just turns their head and laughs or just walks away. They're like, I can't listen to this. I've told hundreds of people, but, no one really believes it, which is fine. I'm not looking for fame from that. I'm not looking for anything. I just want to know what it is and where it's at. It's in a cavern, and outside the cavern there's a carving of an old man, and it looks like he has a helmet on, like a Knights Templar style helmet, and he has a big swooping beard, and he's looking down at it. And then above that, there's a carving of a lion's head at the very top, and the lion's head is actually sticking out from the cavern, and then sticks up, and then you can see his face, and the lion's tongue is sticking out. So it tells me the Aztecs probably carved that. I think the Templar were teaching Christianity to the Aztecs and teaching them about God, and to give their gold to God as an offering. And that's how the Knights Templar had so much gold to create the first banking system. And they got it from the Aztecs, like the Montezuma Lost City of Gold. And so that's what I'm claiming. But
well, it's kind of funny. So if you look at the history of the Templars, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Mm-hmm. So it was in 1312 is when they were gone pretty much. And when King Louis and the Pope came in, and on Friday the 13th, and they had all their ships were in port.
Yep.
On the 12th. The morning of the 13th, they were gone.
Yeah, I've discovered dates that are 1286 and 1287. But those are the only two dates I've discovered in the mountains.
So because then you look at when Columbus discovered, quote unquote, America in 1492.
Yeah.
So, we're looking at almost 200 years later.
True.
But,
Yeah.
so in the the Knights Templar were already well advanced for their time.
Yeah, they were.
If you look at everything and what pursuits they were going on,
Hmm.
their own crusades, what they were doing, and you're right. They were in poverty. They weren't trying to keep gold. They weren't trying to do that. They did establish the world's first bank, the
Yeah.
first banking system, and it worked. And people were borrowing money from them.
And yeah, they had billions in gold, and no one knew where it came from.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I discovered something. I discovered big bars with they look like loaves of bread, but they're really big, and they have a hook text in them, like a stamp of a hook text stamped in them.
Really?
And yeah, and so that tells me, it tells me a story. How did these get here? And they're too big for me to carry, but they're big, and there's a lot of them. And there's other things there. They're just artifacts, shield, lots of shields and helmets. And it's just really interesting. To me, it looks like the Templar died in some kind of fight, and then the Aztecs took cut their. Sounds gruesome, but the Aztecs were pretty gruesome. But I found some helmets, and the heads are still in them.
So they beheaded them.
Yeah, and then they're propped up near where those artifacts are that I discovered. So some of the helmets are actually giant size. So I also discovered giant size helmets with one. I discovered one for sure that has a skull in it.
Well, I mean, giants have been talked about by the Native Americans over here yeah,
And in the Bible,
yeah, exactly, in the Bible. But if you look at
the
Native
Nephilim.
American history,
Yeah,
they talk about them all the time. Part of the reason why they say they would raise their hand up, the old thing how, and showing their
yeah,
hands was showing they had 5 fingers because they were 6 finger giants.
right. Yeah, yeah. And who knows? They might. Some of them might still be alive.
Yeah,
uh,
I'm not gonna. We have a lot of national forest that's protected that goes, largely unexplored a lot.
yeah, I discovered several doors into the mountain. That's like my newest thing. I'm looking for doors, and I discovered one door that it's shaped like a shield, like a Knights Templar shield, and it has a face in it, like a carved face. The door is about 20 feet tall, about maybe 20 feet wide, like literally impossible for us to move, unless it's counterbalanced or something, like some of those big doors, like over in England.
Yeah.
Uh, and but I also discovered another door that has latches on it, like locks, swivel locks, and that door is approximately 25 feet tall, maybe 20 feet wide. It's incredible. I mean, these doors I'm discovering they're beautiful and how they're carved out, and they look like rock, but possibly they went through a flood. Maybe they're gold. I don't know what they're made of, but they definitely have sandstone stuck to them. So those are some of the things I want to uh, discover on the reality show.
That sounds like a lot of fun, to be honest with you. Getting out, exploring, and going on adventures.
Yeah, yeah.
Rediscover. Because I remember, when I was a kid, I wanted to be an explorer. I did. I
Hmm.
wanted to go out and explore. And I actually had a teacher um, that was like, "Well, everything's been discovered," and that was
Mm.
so heartbreaking for me. And I think that's when I started trying to want to become like a marine biologist or an astronaut. I was like going, well, there's still the ocean and there's still space.
Hmm.
Let me try and do that. And of course, I ended up, becoming a goofball in high school and joining the army. So those dreams went by the wayside. But
Yeah,
it's still that that exploring, wanting to get out and go. You know, it's I am so, every time if I get a hot lead or I get something on the cryptid or the paranormal side, I'm packing bags and I'm going.
Yeah.
So that's yeah. I understand that completely.
Yeah.
We've
If you want to see anything paranormal, see, I could probably take you to a couple places.
hey, I'm down. I've seen more paranormal than I have cryptid, and
Yeah.
to be honest with you, I'm going to the Sally House in September, um, with chumming with the Spirits crew. They're taking me. They've invited me to come up and do an investigation with them. They've already done one. I think they've done two, and they've had enough evidence to where they want me to come up and get my take on it, which is an honor, to be honest with you. And then I'm going to with what the area the hot air that I found, and I can't, like you, I'm not disclosing the location. That'll come further down the road because we're planning a town hall, but I'm not trying to invade
I
these
wouldn't
people's
just.
property.
I used to disclose locations, and then people would go there and they would destroy it looking for gold.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, people are greedy. I'm not like you're talking about gold earlier. Going, I just figured out how to finance my show.
Well,
you know,
if you wanna hike in and go get some gold, yeah, I can take you to a location, and I can't hike like I used to be able to hike.
oh, I'm
I can't.
disabled. I'm disabled, so I understand
Oh, yeah.
completely.
Oh yeah. So I screwed up my body when I crashed the paramotor. I fell 60 feet.
That'll do
So
it.
yeah. So a lot of people are like, oh, I don't know if he really did discover anything. Have you seen how big that guy is? I don't know. I don't believe it. And I'm just like, that's fine.
Well,
I'm
so
not.
here's what you got
I'm
to
not here
remember.
to. I'm not here to prove to anyone that I discovered anything. Um, I'll wait for the reality show, and then they can make their minds up.
Yeah, decide off of that one. Well, I will tell you this. One thing I have learned is, when it comes to anything that's not in a textbook, people have a hard
Hmm.
time with.
Hmm.
And that's pretty much, and it's been that way for centuries.
Yeah, they don't want their perception changed.
Exactly.
They have fear
You know,
of anything outside of the ordinary.
exactly. I interviewed a Dijo who's a biologist in India and who
Hmm.
actually has, discovered the chupacabra, and me and him are kind of on the same page. I'm trying to get up, we're working on trying to come back on the show to discuss it because I have a theory on the chupacabra and he does as well. But,
Hmm.
and it's the same thing, which is cool that he's in India and I'm over here. When it comes to, but, he even says too, most biologists are just in a lab and they're not wanting to get out into do the field research. Same thing nowadays. It seems like most people are more interested in reading a book from somebody who wrote 100 years ago versus what's happening 12 hours ago.
Right, I agree. Yeah.
And so when these English explorers were getting out into the world and they were going around and they were meeting these indigenous people, then they were like, hey, that's a giraffe, and they're like, yep, that's a giraffe, and they're like, that's an alligator,
Hmm.
that's an alligator, that's a dinosaur. No, no, you're
No.
retarded, you're inbred, you don't know what you're talking about, you're uneducated, you're a savage. And that's how they treated everybody who was not, you know,
Yeah.
their system. The mountain gorilla wasn't
Hmm.
officially recognized and discovered until the 1920s.
Hmm.
So I mean, there's more species are being discovered every day. Recently,
Yeah.
they discovered a new anaconda. So
Oh
they've
wow.
just been there forever. They've known about it. They're looking at it. And then they go, oh,
Hmm.
wait, that's something's
That's something
different.
else.
No, there's
Yeah.
something else.
Yeah, I lived up in the Olympic National Forest, and it's like up in Washington State, like where all the Bigfoot people are, where they're all looking for Bigfoot. And there's some areas that I've researched years ago when I was looking for Bigfoot up in the Olympic National Park, and I got some really good pictures of something something that's not nothing.
Yeah, I've got a picture from our Bald Knob area
Hmm.
that we got last year that is something. I can't tell you what it is. And of course, I was sending you
Not
some.
nothing.
Yeah, it's not nothing. Then of course, like I sent you a few pictures from the investigation we went on a couple of weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
We just came back. We just got done with the one on Saturday.
Mhm.
That's where the Chum the Spirits crew came down, which was amazing. Y'all get a chance to check out Chum the Spirits. Um,
Mhm.
it's something,
Yeah.
and we caught something, and we're still going through as of this recording. We're still digging through the evidence because we have
Mhm.
hours upon hours upon hours of body cam, thermals, night vision, audio recorders. I
Mhm.
mean, just we have so much that we're trying to go through, and
Mhm.
having the crew with Chummy and the Drunken Cryptids working together to go shift through it is a true blessing because it was just like me. It'd come out next year. I mean, because
Mhm.
I get that
Yeah.
busy, so
Yeah.
you know,
I have a neighbor. She purchased our house. We had an A-frame house with a mobile home next to it, and she bought them. And really nice lady. She's like 33 years old. Her name's Athena. She she was out in the woods hiking with a friend, and she said it was about a year ago, and up in Capitol Forest. So Capitol Forest is basically it's a national forest where I discovered a lot of weird things, and she was walking with her friend, and they stopped. They heard some noises in the trees, and they stopped, and they looked up in the trees, and they saw something. She just told me about it like a week ago. She said it looked like a shimmer, like something was cloaking the tree, the background of the tree. She said it was big, and I said like that Rambo, like that Ram, or was it Aliens or something? Some alien show or Rambo show? I think it was Rambo or something. But where this alien or whatever was cloaking the tree, and she
the
said
Predator.
Predator. That's what it was. Yeah, and
Yeah,
she said it
I
was
firmly
big
believe
like
the
that.
movie Predator is based upon a Sasquatch encounter.
Oh, okay. So she said it was just like that. So they turned around and started walking back, and they felt like something was following them. She said they got back to their car, they turned back around in the parking lot when they were getting in their car, and they saw it again, like it had followed them out. And I looked at her and I said, I've seen that before, and I have a picture of it. And she said, where'd you see it? I said, Capitol Forest. And she said, that's where we were hiking. And so years ago, I used to hike all around the Capitol Forest, and I'd wear fatigues, and I'd lay down in the leaves and throw leaves over the top of me, and I'd just have my spotting scope and my binoculars, and I'd carry a camera with me too. And if I thought sensed something, I would just lay down and just lay there. And anyways, I seen something like that, and I took a picture of it. It was catching birds like crows, and it was this weird thing. It kind of looked like a praying mantis. It was about 4 feet tall, maybe taller, and it was way up on a hill. And I took a bunch of photos of it, and it looked like it would blow air through its tongue, and the tongue looked like a berry or a little red apple up on the branch. And then when a bird would fly down there and kind of work its way over, wham! They'd grab that bird. And sounds crazy, but it's real.
That is
That's what happened.
awesome.
And I got photos of it. I tried to get friends of mine to go out there with me. No one believed it, And they're like, that sounds crazy,
I'd
Shane.
have been right there with you. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, yeah. My whole life I've been looking for someone like you to go out and look at those weird things, and actually not just look at them, but go up there and approach them. You know,
So I'll share
'cause
this. I'll
I
share
pack
this story.
heavy.
I'll share a story with you real quick that happened on
Yeah.
Saturday that we haven't talked about yet, and I'll only share it now on the show. We caught some really interesting eye shine, and I mean to where it blinks. I mean it's forward facing.
Hmm.
It's not like a rabbit. I mean it was two eyes,
Hmm.
and they were huge,
Hmm.
huge. And Chris caught it first, and he calls out eye shine, and I'm looking in one direction. He's and I'm looking, trying to see where he's at, and he turns his white light on. I get my, because we had red lamps on our head. Our headlamps were red. So he gets the white light. I get my flashlight, and there was that, green blue, gorgeous eye shine, gorgeous, huge though. And I'm like, whoa! And it moves parallel. It doesn't, it's not like doesn't do a bob. It's a smooth movement. It went from left to right, dropped down because it was probably about chest high on me, drops down to about my waist thigh area, and Chris is probably shaking his head right now. And then it did this weird like head bob duck thing, and was gone. And I'm rushing up to it. That right there. There's nothing there. Nothing was running away.
Wow.
We've got the whole area lit up. And I mean, it was, yeah. Then right after that is when another contact happened, and that's for the show. But yeah, I'm that guy that if there is some
you don't
weird
know
stuff,
where it went.
not a
You don't
clue.
know where it went.
Yep.
So the thing I was watching, it pulled up a chunk of grass and it went into like a trap door. It was grabbing crows, pulling up the grass and then dropping it down into the trap door. It would crawl into the trap door and hide. So I think there's actually a entity out there that definitely thrives and could be like David Plotty's missing 411.
Yep.
It might be connected to that because they look for kids or whoever gets taken and they can't find anyone, and then a couple hours later they might find that person right there, right where they were looking. And I think that entity could easily take a deer or a person, and it would just pull up the grass, huge trap door, and then throw you in the trap door, and then crawl in there and bite you or whatever it does. Maybe it's a giant spider. I really don't know. But
okay, the giant spider thing kind of because my little boy loves spiders, and I am very anti-spider. So because my thing that I've been on for a couple of years is the spider crawl. The Sasquatch can do. There's too many. There's a lot of eyewitnesses out there. My first track that I ever found was in 1992, and that was at the base of Hellhole Lake in the Uinta Mountains. And my mom found it, and she was jumping up and down. And originally, it looked like it could have been like the ball of his foot. It's a huge track. Just the ball, though, not a full fit, just the ball. And I got pictures of it. And I was like, so the longest time I thought I was sprinting through the area, trying to get away from us. Once the spider crawl, theory started coming in, they say it moves like a spider, and to me that's just unnerving in itself, something that big to move. But
definitely unnerving. But
yeah, exactly. So I think it does that.
Yeah, when I was driving from Arizona down I-10 to LA to meet with the producer, I had my spotting scope with me, and I was like spotting the mountains along the way. There's some really gnarly looking mountains that clearly look carved out, but you can't pull over on the side of the road very well. It says no, like no pullover area. And most of it's all fenced off. It says no trespassing. But I have a really good spotting scope. I can see an orange like 10 miles away.
Oh, nice.
So I'm like looking at glass in the mountains, and I spotted something. I actually took pictures of using my spotting scope. I just held my cell phone up to my spotting scope and took a picture. And it looked like a bug, what are those Egyptian bugs called?
Oh, the scarab.
Scarab, a lot like a scarab. And the shell though was more round, and then it had a round circle, kind of squiggly looking circle on its back. But you could see its legs. The legs were like a scarab, or maybe even more like a hermit crab. Really interesting. But this bug is grabbed on the side of the mountain, about 3/4 of the way up, a high desert area, and it's approximately 20 feet wide and round. Then I saw little ones right next to it, and I thought, oh my god, I couldn't believe my eyes. I almost thought, God, I need to call the police. You know what I mean? Like this thing could be like attacking people at night. You know, I mean, it's so big, it could fly. Then I was thinking maybe it's some kind of glow bug or something, and when they're flying, it could glow, and people might think it's an orb. I mean, it's as big as the fighter jets. You know, it was huge.
Well,
And I just thought,
you may have seen an actual organic UFO.
yeah,
Justin over there with the Cryptids of the Corn podcast, he's done extensive research on these organisms that live
that's
in the upper
interesting to say
atmosphere.
that. Yeah, I shot a live Facebook video a couple of years ago. You can find it on my TikTok or my YouTube. Even on my Facebook, I think I posted it. Of it looked like a UFO, and I was just spotting it, and I'm looking at it, and I'm shooting a live video, and I'm like, I'm not 100% certain. I thought it was a big chunk of gold because it's gold color. I said, I'm not 100% certain this is gold. It kind of looks like a UFO. But then it had these two apparatuses coming off the bottom of it, and they're burrowed into the dirt, like maybe absorbing nutrients or something, or salt from the dirt and the sandstone. And I
That's
was just
cool.
like, this is crazy what I'm seeing. And you got to check out that video. You can see it really clear, crystal clear. And it's only 5 miles away from Sky Harbor Airport. But it's as big as I said it's as big as like 6 cars. So it's massive. If that thing flies, well, it can fly and grab people when they're walking.
And I do, again, I honestly think there is more to our natural world, and I use my fingers in parentheses to say that,
Yeah.
than what most people are willing to acknowledge and recognize. And,
Oh,
most of
definitely.
my audience are those who, my audience is, they're very smart, they're sharp people, and they've had encounters or they believe that there's more to this world than we're being shown or what we
Yeah.
have been shown and what we're being led to believe.
Well, people will freak out. You know, if the truth comes out about anything, they'll freak out. So I understand why the government
Well,
doesn't want to share something.
I don't think people would freak out. I honestly don't. I think that honestly more we have been. So I look at our history goes back to 150 years. It really does. History only goes 150 years because there's 3 generations,
Yeah.
right? Roughly. So, if you look at old wives' tales, you look at any of that stuff right there. They already knew about this stuff. This is already
Yeah, they
ingrained
knew.
into our
Yeah,
genetics.
the Aztecs knew. Yeah.
Yes,
The
this was a
Aztecs.
way of life for them.
Yeah, it was.
We've allowed technology though, and we've allowed other people to come along and say, well, hey, I have all the answers, listen to me. And that's what we have done. And that comes
True.
from whether it be world politics, world religions, any of that stuff. The narrative has changed so much just in the past 50 years. If you think about it, skin cancer wasn't really big 150 years ago. Now everybody seems to have it. I wonder why. Are they putting stuff? Is it the sunscreen that we're putting on?
Is it the water?
Is it
Yeah.
Is it the water, the fluoride? Don't drink the water. I mean, there is
Yeah.
so much. It just seems to where, you know, they're smarter, and it goes back on what I was saying before. It's where, the early explorers when they were going, and these people who live in these areas for hundreds of years, if not thousands
Yeah.
of years, they know the land. They know
They know.
the animals there. They know everything there. So when they describe a cryptid creature that exists, and they go, "Don't go over there because that's so and so's area."
Yeah.
These
Like in the superstitions, there's reptilian humanoids that live there, and I've seen them a few times, and I know where not to go.
Well,
And,
let's talk
they're-
about seeing them. Holy cow! Let's talk about that.
They're scary, let me tell you.
So what happened? Tell me the story.
So one story is I was sleeping in the back of the little Suzuki SUV. I had it. It was kind of beat up, but it drove really good off road, and it got really good it was really good fuel efficiently, and it was comfortable. I just had sleeping bags in the back and had my cooking stuff. I knew to sleep in the car in the superstitions. Don't ever sleep in a tent out there. One time I was sleeping in a tent and something attacked my tent, and I was lucky. There was someone in a camper next to me. This was in the Lost Dutchman State Park. Someone was in a camper with a German Shepherd, and that German Shepherd went crazy, and the German Shepherd got off of its leash somehow and went right towards my tent, and it was barking at something right next to my tent. And I didn't have a gun or anything. And the guy comes out of his camper and he's like, I could hear him. He said, "Oh my God." And then he's like, buddy, come here, buddy, come here. And then a whole bunch of lights came. And there was a chopper, like it was a military chopper that was shining a light. And so then I felt comfortable enough to unzip the tent and climb out. And the camper guy said, he goes, "There was a dragon standing next to your tent." I said, "What do you mean a dragon?"
Yeah, but I say a dragon.
He said it looked like a dragon. It looked like a human head, but it was green or kind of brownish green. He said it had a long tail, and he said, "You're lucky my dog saw that thing." And then he said when the military helicopter came, it took off running. He said it was so fast that it was like a blur. And so, and from then on out, I thought, oh, I want to see one of these things, right? And so I was always scoping and using my binoculars, glassing the mountains all over the place. And I was flying my paramotor. So the one night, I'm sleeping in my car. I was right along Highway 88, like as you're driving towards the lake. And I was pulled off on a big turnaround parking spot. If any of you people are listening that know the area, I was right on the other side of a big white sign. And I was in the back of my car. It was around 3 o'clock in the morning, and I heard the bushes. They went, they shook. And then I heard, "Should I get him?" And the other one said, "No, we need a dog." And you could hear it when they were talking. It was like a hissing sound. And then I heard the bushes shake again. And I was sleeping with an AR with 223 bullets, and I was getting ready to cock it when I heard the bushes shake. And I don't know if I even would have had time. I mean, they moved so quick. And but I still remember hearing them say that. And so I went and researched how many dogs go missing in that area. We're talking thousands of dogs have gone missing over the years, and over 1,000 people have gone missing without a trace. And so I think the reptilians are taking people all over the mountains, maybe other mountains too, and then taking them through like a door or a trap door or something and consuming them. And that one particular night, they're like, "No, we need a dog." It must be because when someone goes missing, they send in everybody to go looking for them. So they probably don't want to be found, right? So
Yeah.
So that's kind of why I've been researching where the doors are. I've discovered several doors now, and one of them appears to have been opened recently. So I'd like to put up a game camera and see what comes in and out of that door. Besides that, one other time I had an experience with the reptilians. I was flying my paramotor with a 20-meter wing. And I was flying through a canyon in the superstitions. And I was looking for, the sheriff's asked me to help him find a girl that went missing. And she was out there hiking by herself and probably didn't have enough water with her, right? So they said, "Oh, she's up Flatiron Trail somewhere, but we can't find her. She must have walked off the trail and sat down somewhere." So I'm flying Flatiron Trail up and down, looking all around. She had a red jacket on, supposedly. And so I thought, well, I'm going to I called him up. I said, I'm gonna hit a different canyon and see if she tried to get down a different canyon trail. So I went down another canyon, another canyon. I was at the fourth canyon down, and then I seen her. She was underneath a tree. I could see her red jacket, and I flew really low. She didn't get out from under the tree and yell and scream or anything. But I flew up the canyon and I flew to the top and I pulled really hard on my paracord, my left paracord, and gave it some fuel so I could turn around, you know. And right when I dove over the other side and went to turn around, I saw four reptilian humanoids looking up at me, and they had it looked like leather vests they were wearing, and there was something mounted on the front of their chest. It looked like it looked like a computer or something. And they looked up at me, and then poof, they like took off running, and they were like so quick that I just couldn't believe my eyes. And so I got on my phone. I said I found her, and they sent a helicopter over. I said I don't know the name of the canyon, but I'm gonna stay kind of hover above her, and then you'll see her. She's under a tree. And so they sent the helicopters over, sheriff helicopters, and I stayed on the phone. I was talking to them, and I didn't tell them what I saw, of course, because no one's gonna believe that. And but I caught it on. I had my GoPros, and I caught it on camera.
Okay, so they found her. When you found her? Was she okay?
She was okay. Yeah, she just was out of water, and she was under a tree to stay cool.
Okay, but now the
And
reptilians, were they near her?
they weren't too far away. They were about a mile away. I don't know if they were moving towards her or if they even knew that she was there. I don't know. But I did I caught them on my GoPros.
I would love to see that. I'm not going to lie to you. I would
Well, I
love
might be
to.
might be one of the only people in the world that has GoPro footage of reptilian aliens and ant people. I caught ant people in the Grand Canyon on GoPro.
See, now I've heard of ant people. I don't think a lot of my audience has heard of ant people, but they're real big, especially out in the Southwest.
Yeah, they're definitely big in the superstitions too. I seen one in the superstitions, and I have another story. So I was pretty good friends with a guy that wingsuited off the Superstition Mountains, and I did some wingsuiting and base jumping with him and skydiving. And he said, Shane, he goes, "There's something I want to show you. It's really scary, and I don't know who else to talk to about it because I know you've seen some weird stuff." I said, "All right, where is it at?" He goes, "We got to go up to Flatiron." I said, "Okay." So we hiked up Flatiron. It took took me like 4 hours to get up there. Really a hard hike. It was when I was fit. It was before my accident. And he goes, "Okay, we need to go around to the other side of Flatiron." So we hiked on the low side of Flatiron. We walked around the low side, and then we walked around the other side, and then we hiked back into this area that kind of looked like an oasis. It was like beautiful grass and these high walls. And he said, "Okay, stop here." I said, "Well, I want to go explore." And he said, "Stop right here." I said, "Okay." He goes, "Look down at the ground. Tell me what you see." So I was looking at the ground, and he said, "What do you see?" I said, I see fire pits." He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Look in the fire pits. What do you see in the fire pits?" So I'm looking down, and I see bones laying in the fire pits. And there was fire pits everywhere, like all around me and in front of me and pretty far in front of me too. And I was looking at all of them, and I saw bones in all of them. And I just thought, okay, this is really weird. I said, "What is this?" And he goes, "Well, pick up one of the bones." I reached down, picked up one. I said, "I don't think this is deer." He goes, "Yeah, I don't think so either." He said, "Now, don't look right away," but he said, "Look straight ahead, and there's two giant carvings. One of them, old man with a beard on the left, and then the one right next to it on the right looks like a lion's head with a unicorn coming off the top." And so I had my bill down on my hat, and I kind of look up, and I see the old man, and then I turned and looked at my friend. I said, "What is that white thing on its shoulder?" He said, "I don't know." He said, I was hoping you might know. So I grabbed my camera, I shot a video talking about, zoomed in the best I could, and then I turned it off, started taking pictures with my cell phone because I didn't have a good camera. And he goes, "Okay, it's time to leave now." And I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "That white thing just turned on." I looked up and I seen a bright red light. I turned around. He said, "All right, let's go now." And we just turned around and left. And later I looked at the pictures. It looked like a little dome, little white dome with something sticking off the front of it. It looked like I don't know, like a little pipe sticking off the front. And it had a little wire that was squiggly, and it went from the shoulder of the carving, and it was a little squiggly line that went up into the eyeball. And the eye, you could see the head was hollow. And I was like, holy, can I cuss on your show? I was like, holy crap.
Yeah, no F words.
I was like, holy crap, what am I looking at, you know? So this carving of this giant old man with a beard was hollow. And there was some kind of high-tech little dome-looking thing with a pipe coming off of it. And then I put two and two together. I thought, maybe if people get too close to it, fire comes out, fuel and fire maybe, like a flamethrower maybe. That's what I figured. But I can't prove anything. I've seen a lot of weird shit, right? But I couldn't prove it. I'm not an archaeologist, and I don't want to get burnt, right? So but when I was standing there and I was taking pictures, I thought I saw movement. And so when I got home, I put the pictures on my computer, and I saw one of those ant people standing there.
That is cool. I'm not gonna lie.
Its arms were down, but it had 6 arms, and it had a big, huge head. It almost looked like a head of a cockroach, kind of really weird. And I just thought,
Well, what's funny is there's actually, and I can't think of it off the top of my head, but somebody went into description of the different types of, using my fingers in parentheses here, aliens, extraterrestrials, interdimensional beings, that, visit, our realm, planet, whatever you want to view it as. And one of them is an insectoid type of creature.
Yeah, I would say maybe that praying mantis one, but definitely, I would say there's a lot of different breeds of aliens here.
Oh, I agree.
And I wonder, I think they've been living here longer than us. And, but, I mean, I could be wrong. So, to go back to those reptilians.
Well, on that one, so with the reptilian, I'll tie it in as well. So, I've had this theory, and believe it or not, I got it from Star Wars. I'm a huge Star Wars nerd.
Okay, you'll like what I have to say next.
All right, well, so for years ago, years and years ago, when I was in the military, we did the tabletop role-playing game for Star Wars. And every planet that they would, that you could go visit or whatever they would do a description on, there was always a minimum of 2 sentient species. Prime example, Tatooine, where, Luke Skywalker's at, Jabba the Hutt, where they find Anakin, turns into Vader. The 2 sentient species there are the Tusken Raiders and the Jawas. You look at Naboo, you've got the humans, and then you've got the Gungans. So that's just 2. Right off the bat. Even on Kashyyyk, where Chewbacca's from, which, ironic enough, is a heavily wooded type of planet. You know what I mean? There's another species there as well. I can't think of it, but off the top of my head. But like Mon Calamari, what Admiral Akbar is. It's the Mon Calamarians and the Quarren. There's 2 sentient species there. and it seems to where a minimum of two. So you look at
Yeah.
Earth as we have the one, which is human, and
Hmm.
Sasquatch could be one. These insectoid reptilian people, they could be one. If you look at the Bible, when God cast Cain out, he placed a mark on that he will not be harmed by others. And, Cain was fearful of others. And my question is, what others?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, we might be the others too. So,
You know,
um,
because I think that there were living beings pre-Adam, because it states in the Bible that we were created in His image.
yeah, we were created in his image, but not his size, probably.
No, definitely not his size, but we were created in His image. So I'm thinking that there's other things pre-Adam,
Definitely. Yeah.
because Cain
To
goes
go,
and starts setting up cities with who?
yeah, there's definitely ships out there too, like alien ships and things.
Yeah, Uncle Sam came out and said that was real. Nobody batted an eye.
Yeah. So that's good because I discovered some things in the mountains, not just the superstitions and the UNTs, but other mountains as well, all the way up here to Washington State and Alaska. So I posted on my TikTok channel. It's my TikTok channel is I have two TikTok channels. The one that is probably the best TikTok channel.
Nobody has resigned over
Is
this.
this?
No one.
Sorry about that.
I was about to say,
Um,
whoa.
yeah, Shane Explorers is. I have some videos on there that you can check out. Um, I have one of I found hooks on the side of the mountains, like from basically from New Mexico all the way up to Alaska. I've discovered hooks, giant hooks on the sides of mountains, and things hanging on the hooks. Some of them look like, I mean, most of them look like rocks, and I think that's how they're able to hide. Their ships are designed to look like a rock, and they hang on the side of the mountain. If they're hanging on the side of the mountain, I don't think a satellite can pick them up. So I think they can actually hide there pretty good. Um, and these hooks are like 20 feet, at least 20 feet tall. Some of them have plungers on top, so if it doesn't open, they can use a plunger to open it, or not use a plunger, but it is a plunger, like an arm that sticks up, and you can see it on my channel here. It has a really clear photo, and then I've discovered like on this one particular photo, there's the hook, and then there's a alien's head and body next to it. It looks like a harpoon sticking in his head, and then there's above that it looks like a torpedo sticking out of the side of the mountain. The mountain itself, the Superstition Mountain, I don't think it's a mountain at all. I think the mountain itself is actually an ancient ship. And the reason why I say that, there's doors all the way around it that look like ship doors with latches on them. Something you would find on a fishing boat. And and there's just interesting things about that mountain. They call it Battleship Mountain because it looks like a battleship. But if you were to fly over it with a paramotor, you'd see a giant hole in the center of it, like it got bombed or something. Um, and it's just like stuck there or something. But that's where the reptilians live. They live inside that mountain. One day I was flying around that mountain on the front
It's
side.
funny you mentioned the ship thing, because there is a shipwreck in New Mexico.
Yeah, Shiprock. Yep.
Yeah, I've driven past that numerous times,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's just
So,
south of uh, oh gosh, Verde. Oh my gosh, the big uh, Anastasia cliff dwellings.
hmm
Oh my
hmm
gosh, my brain just said goodbye on that name for some reason.
Yeah, Shiprock. It's in San Juan County, New Mexico. Elevation 7,177 feet. I just pulled it up on my computer here.
Oh, okay.
Navajo. It's in the Navajo. I've driven past it, and I just can't believe my eyes. So definitely interesting. So that shape, that shape of Shiprock, how it has like a giant crevice in the middle of it,
Yeah.
and then those are the same style of rocks I've discovered with ships hanging on in the center. So I would, if you're ever driving by Shiprock, glass the mountain really good and see if you can't see a door or giant hooks hanging on the side of the mountain.
Yeah, because normally when I go back home to Utah, I take the northern route. I go through Wyoming. When I was younger, we'd go through New Mexico. We'd cut across, through Oklahoma, Texas, into Albuquerque, then Albuquerque up north. Mesa Verde. That's what I was thinking of. Mesa Verde, there in Colorado. Cut over to southern Utah. So we'd always go past Shiprock. So yeah, I think the next road trip that I take out to Utah to see family, not for the expedition I'm putting together, because that's going to go through Wyoming, obviously. That's northern Utah.
Yeah, there's definitely ships hanging on the side of Shiprock. I blew the picture up really big on my computer, and I can see them. I see them now. I see the brackets where they're hanging onto the bracket, and the brackets look like a metal material. You'll be able to see them. The brackets look like chains, and I'll have to take a picture and send it to you. And then on the front side of the mountain, there's a super shiny, it looks like a shield of gold. It looks like gold. You just won't believe it. I'm going to take a picture right now.
Definitely. Please do.
Well, I can't believe what I'm looking at. This is crazy. I did not know that it was like that at all. Okay, I'm going to take it.
Live and unfiltered.
Oh, what's that?
Well, I said live, but raw and unfiltered.
Yeah. Okay, I hope I don't turn you off here. Okay. So I'm going to take a picture while I got you on here. I think I can do this. Oh, yeah, I can. Whoa, I can't believe what I'm looking at. I'm going to send that picture to you so you can see that shield thing. And then I'm going to scroll and show you the chain things I was just explaining to you.
All right. And I'll make sure we put these up on the YouTube.
Yeah, that'd be good. So, okay, I just sent you the chain. The second picture are the chain like things. The ships are actually on the side of the mountain, and it's hard to make them out unless you are used to looking at them, like I am. But they basically look like a rock. But you basically have to look at the tops of them to find the chain like design. But those chain like things are metal, some kind of metal.
All right, so I'm looking at it looks like snow almost. You know what I'm talking about? The picture you just sent me?
Yeah, the picture. Oh, what do you mean snow?
The white?
Oh yeah, that's not snow. It's some kind of metal. Yeah, let me send you another picture so you can see.
Actually, that one, yeah, that part of it does not look like snow in that V. Mm-hmm. And then that would not be snow either.
Ever say another picture? It looks like, okay, so right behind that shield-looking shape, there's something black and crispy. It looks like it has a carving on it, like some kind of shape is carved into it. Really interesting.
Yeah, I see that. And then it looks like there's some caverns further up above it.
Yeah, so that black thing, that's charred like black, the other ships I've discovered, the ships sit on top of that, and they sit right on top of it, and then they usually have hooks towards the top and hooks towards the bottom that they to hang the ship onto, and then they link up to some kind of like gold or some kind of something that looks like a shield. They'll link. I think the ship links up to something like that, so it's computerized, you know. But that
That's
takes us
crazy.
that's taking you deep down the rabbit hole
That,
right there.
going down the rabbit hole.
Taking you down the rabbit hole right now because that looks like gold, my friend.
I am all
I'm
about
good.
the rabbit hole.
I'm gonna send you a picture through Messenger too right now,
All right.
so you can see what I'm looking at. I'm sending a link.
I should be able to pull it up.
Okay, there you go. There's a link in Messenger for you.
Just came
Yeah.
in. All right, let's see here.
It's a blown up link, blown up picture of the shipwreck.
Yeah. It's a gorgeous formation too. It really is.
That's definitely carved, and yeah, those link things on the side of the mountain, on top, really high up. That's some kind of metal. I would guess it's probably gold. Most of the mountains that I've seen that look carved are carved, and they have gold all over them.
Well, what makes Shipwreck, also unique is the fact of the matter there's nothing else around it. It's
Yeah.
just one rock, and the name alone, Shipwreck.
Well, yeah, someone named it that, of course, but
Well, yeah, obviously,
yeah,
but there's a reason for every naming.
yes, some reason, yeah, shipwreck, yeah, because it probably had a ship on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's yeah, it's a name.
Yeah, just like inside the Grand Canyon, when I flew through the Grand Canyon and I saw the first temple, it was Mount Isis.
Yeah, yeah. We
Now,
actually
why
have.
would
Yeah,
they name it?
why-
Why would they name it Mount Isis if there was no Egyptians in the Grand Canyon?
exactly.
They say there was no Aztecs in Arizona, but there's a mountain that's over by Lake Roosevelt named Aztec Mountain.
Yeah, so so Isis is actually the goddess of motherhood, magic, and fertility.
Yeah,
That's kind of crazy to me.
yeah,
I mean, it's this where I fully believe there is a lot of soft disclosure. Also, where Kincaid went in there and they got everything out. That's a restricted area. You can't go in there. Hikers aren't allowed to go hiking up through that.
yeah. That's what I heard.
Yeah. So
I didn't know that until after I flew through the area, and then when I flew back to the north parking lot, there was rangers waiting for me.
and they're
Yeah.
probably like going, "Yeah, you can't do that."
Yeah, they threatened to arrest me right in there. And I said, they said, you can't fly paramotor here. I said, well, and you can't fly drones either. And I said, well, where's the sign that says you can't fly drones? And there wasn't one. I said, well, where's the sign that says you can't fly a paramotor or a winged airplane? Well, there isn't one. So they really didn't have grounds to arrest me.
Well, no, yeah, it's just, yes, my buddy Rick, he really, really wants to go hiking through there. He's like, dude, with our military background, we could sneak in. I'm going, dude, I'm disabled now. There's no way I can do what you want to do. You're still, I mean, your body's in a lot better shape than mine. I'm all about it. I said, can we rappel in?
Yeah. Tell him to get a paramotor and he can fly in. But
and if he's
take
listening
a
right
day-
now, he's already probably writing ideas down. I know you are, Rick. I know you're writing your ideas down. Because, I mean, my buddy Rick has been fascinated with this for a very long time. I was telling you before we started recording about the road trip, he was like, well, maybe we should detour, just go to the Grand Canyon, and maybe we should, let's go hike that area. I'm going, dude, no, no. I get what you're trying to say, but no. But it's the more that comes out and the more that you dig into the history of it and the eyewitness accounts and what people have seen, including yourself, there's something there's something to it. Why would there be Egyptian hieroglyphics, Egyptian evidence in the Grand Canyon at all unless there's a lot more to our history as a people than we've been taught. And I think that's part of the challenge. It's where it's not supposed to get out. But again, too, though, on the other side of on the flip side of the coin, I have to look at it as, what's the gain for keeping us in the dark, keeping everybody in the dark?
Well,
What's the gain? What's the financial gain? Is there a control gain? Is there a non-control gain? I always look at
they just don't
finances.
care about us. They just don't care. Like, it comes down to that. They just don't care about us. And those reptilians have a lot more power than we have, and they're a lot smarter. And if that really is a ship, if that mountain really is a ship, then they're so much more advanced than we are that we can do anything, and they could be telling our government what to do, and or they could annihilate us, right? So we have to be really careful. There's some, those discoveries of mine they're real, and it's scary. There's some scary stuff going on, and so I'm not surprised that they're not telling everyone, giving a full disclosure. A full disclosure, I think, would really freak people out. I mean, with just what I've shared with you, people are going to have mass questions.
Oh,
And
yeah. I mean, which is
how
fine.
how would he know about all that stuff? Well, when you're living in the mountains, like seriously, like sleeping in the back of your car, living in the mountains for years. I did that for years because I was disabled. I crashed my paramotor. I couldn't work anymore. I couldn't even drive truck. I had a CDL and I couldn't even do that. I couldn't pass the medical exam. So I was literally living in my car until I could get on disability. And that took a couple of years to get on disability. And then so I had all the time on my hands, and there was nothing to do. And my brother bought me the spotting scope. And so I was staring through the spotting scope. I had a pair of binoculars, and that's all I did. And I was like, well, I've looked at this mountain enough. I'm going to go drive over to that mountain and see if that mountain has anything. And then I'd drive to the next mountain and the next mountain, and then when I got paid, I'd have money, and I'd go drive, to like Camelback Mountain, or I'd drive up to Payson, or I'd drive up to the Uinta Mountains and glass the mountains up there. And, I was driving all over the place. I drove all the way down I-10, glass the mountains there. And I found a lot of interesting things. There's a door that opens periodically on the side of the Superstition Mountains. And the door is about 100 feet tall. And I've seen it open. I've flown paramotor right next to it to see if I can see inside of it. And it's about 3/4 of the way up where Flatiron is. And it's a kind of round shaped door. And it drops down, like there's a big hinge on the bottom of it. And it drops down. It looks like a torpedo door, basically, is what it looks like to me. And I don't know anything about subs, or I don't know anything about military equipment, but that's what it looks like to me. And I've seen it open in the past. And I'm like, I wonder if there's something going on in the world today, why the reptilians had to open that door. But it's a door, and it looks like a rock. And but some days it's closed, and some days it's open, and it's just freaky. There's some freaky stuff going on that I think that we don't understand. It could be a war against us and them, and it could explain why there's Apache helicopters flying all over those mountains all the time. And because there's probably something going on, and in the Grand Canyon there's Apache helicopters all over the place. So why are they just training out there, or is there something real happening? And I would have to guess that there's something real going on, and because I've seen some weird stuff, and the weird stuff is the reptilians, and the Greys, the Gray Ant people, they actually coexist. We can't even coexist with our neighboring countries, but these aliens that look totally different are coexisting.
That's because
And
they have the same goal. Whatever that goal is, they have the similar goal.
the same goal is to probably rid of us, and probably don't care how it happens, and because we're destroying our own planet, right? And they live here, and it's possible that they just want to get rid of us. I'm not saying that's what's happening, but I can't imagine it'd be anything else. It, that's probably it. And like David Pilates from Missing 411, he's like, how come they're taking like joggers or running through like whatever national park, Yosemite? They're running through Yosemite National Park, and they're fit and they're educated, and they're going missing. So they're plucking off like fit, educated members of society and hikers, and they're anyone that gets too close to whatever their agenda is, probably. But
Well, I did a show at the beginning of this year, and because it was a very hot topic that just broke through, and Todd Neese sent me the link to it because this takes place up in your part of the country, up in Washington, Oregon area. On Christmas Eve, these two Sasquatch researchers decided to drive 150 miles to go into a national forest for the day to go look for Bigfoot on Christmas Eve, and they never came back. They were allegedly found 3 days later. The official statement out from the sheriff's department was they had died due to exposure. Okay. And now here's the best part, though. The same day that they recovered their bodies, the search and rescue team for the county, the sheriff's department there, everything, all their equipment was stolen. As a press release stated, if it wasn't nailed down, it was taken. For the sheriff's department even started a GoFundMe to go ahead and try and resupply and restock the search and rescue team's equipment. There's never been names released. Nobody's come forward and said, yeah, that was my uncle, brother, sister's cousin, aunt, uncle, dad, grandpa. You know what I mean? And the ages were like 58 and like 38 or something like that. They're like a 20-year difference between the two, but they never released their names and never said. They just said they're looking for two guys looking for Bigfoot. Never said their names.
Weird. Now, it could be fake, though. I mean, but maybe they just created that story to sidetrack people to,
Well, the only thing was it only made a blurb on the news, just a small little blip. You know what I mean? And because Todd was like, man, I know everybody up there, and he was actually worried whether or not these were friends of his, and even he's like going, I haven't been able to get any information off of this either. So I mean, that was about it. But with the GoFundMe, everything set up, and now the other cool part is though, well, not really cool because these two guys are gone, but that county that they disappeared in. There is a law on the books that states you can be fined like $1,000 or $10,000 and up to a year in jail if you harm a mythical creature.
Yeah, I've heard that. There's signs up too, all over the place. I'll talk about that up here in Washington.
Because to me, it's just kind of crazy to where there's so much going on with this and what could be hidden, what couldn't be hidden. And I think a lot of it, the truth is actually more in front of us than a lot of people are willing to see. And generally, what I've learned when it comes
people
to...
don't have time. They have to work, and most people have to work. They don't have time to go do the research or spend day in, day out in the mountains to stare at the mountains,
Yeah, it was cool, though.
You kind of have to be in that circumstance, I think.
If you're being picked up for a reality show, what's really cool is because that's where a lot of people are getting their information and the knowledge from is, on TV as entertainment, in podcasting. And that's why I try and do a good job of, getting folks like you on, folks like Gary Wayne on, folks that have had encounters, because I love the encounters. I love hearing people's encounters. And that's
Yeah.
how we're going to get to the bottom of this, is going to be citizen scientists that get out, get in the woods, get into the desert. You know what I mean? Get out
Yeah.
there and actually in the mountains and look and do our
Yeah.
own.
Now with my new camera, I'll be able to get some really good footage,
And I know you're
and
excited for that.
and it shoots video, and but taking the film crew out, that will be a lot of fun for sure. The show will be basically, showing, like, I'm definitely going to take them to a really good definitive temple that I discovered, and discovering it on the show, and the discovery part is the archaeologists and the forensic geologists looking at it and telling us exactly what it is. Is it just a rock formation that looks like something, or is it actually an ancient carving? And if it is an ancient carving, then who's it by? It'll be looked at, if, with a fine toothbrush and a pick, but it won't be like Blind Frog Ranch where they just or the Curse of Oak Island where they never find anything.
Well, my theory on that is I think everybody that started those shows with good intentions. However, they're never going to find it because it kills. If they find it, it's going to kill the ratings.
Yeah, well, Dwayne Allender, I'll tell you a secret about Dwayne Allender. He became a friend of mine, and he wanted me to do some work for him, some flying over and taking pictures of his ranches. He has a ranch in New Mexico, and the Blind Frog Ranch, and there the UN is, and so I did a bunch of work for him, and I took a lot of photos and blew him up real big, and spent a lot of time working for him. He said, "Well," he goes, I'll pay you, but I'd really like to, maybe pay you a little bit less and give you a really good gift." And I just thought, this is weird. I said, okay, whatever. So he gave me like $900, and his girlfriend pulled up with a brand new paramotor. He said, "I want to give you this paramotor." He goes, "Your paramotor is a little rickety." And I had an old paramotor, and nothing fancy. It kept breaking on me, and I had to glide down somewhere and fix it. And so he gave me the brand new Monster 185, but it came with a price, and I didn't know until a couple weeks later. He said, "I want to take you up to Sedona for the weekend and hang out with you." And I was like, "Okay, cool." He took me up there and hung out for the weekend. We went into a shop up there in Sedona. That's a guy who was a high-end collector of Aztec treasure and stuff. So he's showing us like gold ingots and things. And well, Dwayne bought 20 square gold ingots from him. They're really small 1-ounce gold ingots from this guy. And then we left the store, and he said, "Shane, I'd like you to take these gold ingots and take my truck, and I'll jump in with my girlfriend. You take my truck and your paramotor, put that thing together, and I want you to drive up to my property in Utah, and I want you to fly over my hole and drop those in my hole." And I said, "Fly over in the paramotor and drop them in the hole?" I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, so we can discover them on the reality show." And I said, "Dwayne," "that's illegal. I can't do that." He goes, "What? What do you mean you can't do that?" He goes, "Well," he goes, "you better not tell nobody." And I said, "Well, I'm not going to tell anybody." And he goes, "Just think about it. Just take the paramotor, go put it together, fly it around, and give me a call back." And that was the last time I seen Dwayne. And I told him, he called me back and he said, "You're not going to tell nobody what I asked you to do, will you?" And I said, "As long as you don't talk trash about me, I'm not telling anybody." Well, next thing you knew, you started talking trash about me, and that's why I'm telling you what he asked me to do.
Yeah, I was about to ask you, do I need to like edit that part out? But hey, I mean,
I don't care if he had it or not, but he discovered one of those gold square ingots on his show, and I don't watch his show, but someone told me that he discovered because I was telling somebody about that particular thing, and they called me up. They said, Dwayne just on his show tonight, they discovered a gold square ingot. It was behind a rock or something, and they think that the Montezuma treasure is there on his property. And Dwayne's into his 5th season, and the only reason why he's trying to discover things on the show is to raise the property value, because his property's for sale. He's trying to get like $30 million for it. Oh no, it's $33,333,033 or something like that is what he's selling it for. And so, anyways, it's all about money,
it is.
But I'm not going to do something illegal, and I'm definitely not going to do that. I'm not going to plant anything for anybody.
No,
And,
I'm the same way. I feel, I go out and do my research and such.
Yeah.
And my investigations, it's, one of the rules is you don't fake it.
Yeah, you don't fake it.
You don't fake it. I mean, they recorded my little safety briefing on Saturday before we started going, and that's one of the things I stress. We don't fake it. I said this is a lot like going ghost hunting, going, out looking for cryptids is a lot like fishing. Just because a spot was hot 2 weeks ago or a week ago does not mean it's hot currently.
Yeah.
And you can't make them appear on demand. You can't do this or do that. And that's how it is. I mean, I did run an experiment on Saturday that seemed to trigger some stuff, and I'll tell you that off air. But because the show hasn't, that episode hasn't aired yet, so I want to save that one. But and it worked. I've had other researchers that said they tried the same thing. They got nothing out of it, and I tried it, got some stuff, and I'm like, all right, let's see what else we can scare up on it. So
hey, we're gonna have to wrap this up.
I was just about to say that. So before we wrap this up, do me a favor. Tell everybody where they can find you at your YouTube, Facebook, your TikTok again. And that way we can, we'll get the links posted in the show notes description. So go ahead and do that real quick for me.
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook, Shane Gorrell, Gorrell. You can follow me on Facebook. You can send me a message and I'll respond. And if you're interested in going out exploring with me or something, I'm trying to pull together a team. So it might happen, so just contact me, tell me a little bit about yourself, give me your phone number, and I'll give you a call. On YouTube, it's Shane Gorrell Explores. I'm on TikTok. It's Shane Explores. And I have 2 books published and they're selling on Amazon. One is the Peralta Stones Treasure Map, My Decipher, and the other one is The Lost Dutchman's Treasure, Story of Truth.
Love it. Well, I'm gonna when I get done here, I'm gonna jump over to the TikTok and follow you there. Then I already have you on Facebook and such, and I don't know if I'm following you on YouTube yet or not, but I'll make sure I'll correct that here shortly. So
right.
You'll get another one. I can promise you that. But Shane, man, thank you so very much for coming on the show. Thank you for taking away from your busy schedule. I appreciate it. I know you're busy. Please keep me in the loop of what's going on with the show. I wish it wasn't so. I wish I was closer because I'd definitely be out there looking with you. I live for this stuff. I really do. So
yeah, thank you, Matthew. Thank you for having me. And anytime you have any questions, or we can do this again.
Definitely, yeah. We're definitely going to do this again. I can promise you that.
And you're welcome to come out and look for Bigfoot up here in the Northwest with me.
Well, I don't mind looking for Bigfoot up there. I also want to go down there and do some treasure hunting with you.
Yeah, and also check out Mima Mounds. Mima Mounds. It sounds like the mounds that you discovered down there.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do that.
Yeah, it's up here near me.
All right. I appreciate it, Shane. Thank you so very much. I'll let you go. Don't hang up yet. So, all right, everybody. That's another great episode of the Drunken Cryptids. Make sure you give Shane a shout out. Go check it. Check his Facebook out. He does post a lot of the videos up there. I have been seeing a lot of those. Check him out. Tell him the Drunken Cryptid sent you. So until next time, y'all keep on squatching.